On November 8, 1942, at Sidi Farouk Beach in Algeria, the initial U.S. infantry forces splashed onto the shores of North Africa, equipped with a device destined to reshape combat tactics, yet the majority lacked any familiarity with it. Hidden inside classified supply containers lay 5,000 M1 rocket launchers, which would quickly earn the name Bazookas. In just 18 months, this straightforward pipe, manufactured for a mere $25, compelled a total overhaul of German tank strategies and sparked frantic efforts to mimic U.S. ingenuity. The equations governing tank battles were on the verge of transformation, not through bulky anti-tank cannons or intricate machinery, but via a metal cylinder, operable by any foot soldier following brief instruction. The bazooka elevated U.S. troops from mere prey of armored vehicles to skilled destroyers of them, empowering every platoon to neutralize the enemy's deadliest assets. This shift originated at Aberdeen Proving Ground in Maryland on May 6, 1942. Colonel Leslie Skinner and Lieutenant Edward Uhl showed up for a showcase of assorted anti-tank tools. Their prototype had been hastily put together that very morning using scavenged parts from the facility. As noted in the Aberdeen Proving Ground's formal chronicle, Uhl had spotted a suitable steel pipe amid the junk heap with the ideal bore size. The aiming mechanism came from a twisted wire clothes hanger shaped by pliers. Military ordnance planned evaluations of British spigot mortars, elaborate setups tipping the scales at more than 100 pounds that demanded skilled operators. The gathered officers, led by Major General Gladian Barnes, head of R&D, at first dismissed Uhl's unassuming device. The display turned out to be a game-changer. 5 varied spigot mortars targeted a maneuvering M3 Stuart tank from 150 yards away, but all missed. Operators wrestled with elaborate targeting gear, and the cumbersome pieces proved hard to maneuver swiftly. Uhl then took his turn. Per his recollection archived in Ordnance Archives, he donned a welder's helmet for the initial launch, wary of potential rearward explosion. It proved unfounded. He hoisted the tube to his shoulder, aligned the hanger-based sights, and pulled the trigger. The projectile streaked forth and struck the tank's flank squarely. He then reloaded in 5 seconds and scored another direct impact. General Barnes inspected the tool and allegedly declared, "It resembles Bob Burns's bazooka," alluding to the broadcast humorist's DIY wind instrument. Almost instantly, Barnes authorized production of 5,000 units right away. General Electric's plants ramped up output in mere weeks. Come October 1942, General Electric, alongside other suppliers, churned out 5,000 bazookas each month. Such rapid progression, from rough sketch to widespread assembly in 5 months, was unheard of. Assembling each M1 rocket launcher demanded only 20 pounds of steel, routine welding, and elementary wiring, totaling $25 in expenses. The M6 rockets ran $8 apiece to fabricate. The design specs stood out for their simplicity: a smooth-walled steel barrel measuring 54 inches in length and 2.36 inches across, at 13 pounds total weight. Shoulder-mounted dry cell batteries supplied the spark for ignition, the projectile loaded from the back end. A contact wire linked up, and upon activation, it could pierce 3 to 4 inches of plating from 300 yards. Captain Franklin Johnson, the instruction lead at Fort Benning, noted in his formal assessment, "It took just one afternoon to prepare a recruit for proficient bazooka use. Mastering a 37mm anti-tank gun, by contrast, would consume weeks for the identical individual." Crucially, a pair of troops with a bazooka possessed mobility matching any foot soldier. Operation Torch, the joint Allied push into North Africa, kicked off on November 8, 1942. Within the 107,000 U.S. and British personnel came contingents from the 1st Infantry Division, 1st Armored Division, and 509th Parachute Infantry Regiment, armed with the inaugural bazookas entering battle. The introduction almost spelled disaster. As chronicled by historians Michael and Gladys Green, General Eisenhower learned on the eve of the assault that personnel had undergone zero preparation with the novel gear. The bazookas shipped in tamper-proof boxes labeled secret, with directives to remain sealed until deployment commenced. No guides accompanied them. The 1st Infantry Division's post-mission summary revealed that troops improvised the device's handling amid live combat. Numerous initial M6 rounds, compromised by ocean transit dampness, either fizzled or burst too soon. The 509th Parachute Infantry Regiment logged that among their opening 20 combat launches, just 7 performed as intended. Even amid these setbacks, certain groups notched victories. The 1st Armored Division's November 10, 1942, field diary entry details an anti-tank squad disabling 2 Vichy French Renault tanks using the fresh rocket system near Port Lyautey. The tool shone when it operated correctly. Germans seized U.S. bazookas amid the Kasserine Pass clash from February 14 to 24, 1943, as units from the Afrika Korps' 10th and 21st Panzer Divisions overwhelmed American lines at Fayed City. During the Battle of Kasserine Pass, German forces seized a significant haul of gear from the withdrawing U.S. Second Corps. Military records from Germany indicate that 5 undamaged M1 bazookas, along with roughly 20 M6 rockets, were promptly dispatched to Berlin for evaluation. The Wehrmacht's testing center at Kummersdorf took delivery of these items on February 28, 1943. Assessments detailed in German engineering documents from March 1943, preserved today in the Bundesarchiv, outline their findings. The U.S. rocket launcher offered a straightforward approach to equipping foot soldiers against armored threats. It weighed 6 kg and demanded few resources to manufacture. In terms of performance, it could pierce 80 mm of armor from 100 meters away. Authorities in Germany recognized that such a device could be churned out in large numbers using straightforward factory setups. Without delay, the Germans set about crafting their adaptation, boosting the warhead size from 60 mm up to 88 mm. Come September 1943, the Panzerschreck rocket launcher officially rolled into manufacturing. Wartime output logs confirm that 289 and 151 units of the Panzerschreck were built overall. That figure was notable, yet it paled in comparison to what the Americans achieved. The Allied assault on Sicily, known as Operation Husky, and launched on July 10, 1943, signaled the bazooka's coming of age as a battlefield tool. U.S. troops deployed the upgraded M1A1 variant, which boasted enhanced electrical connections and the sturdier M6A1 projectile. One standout achievement for the bazooka in Sicily took place close to Biscari that same month. As described in U.S. Army Ordnance Observer accounts, a squad wielding the M1A1 from the 82nd Airborne Division scored a remarkable strike on a Tiger tank, breaching the driver's viewport, a rare weak spot on the machine. Though this feat highlighted elite shooting skills more than routine results, it underscored the launcher's capabilities. The Hermann Göring Panzer Division's log entry for July 11, 1943, observed, "Hostile foot soldiers carry rocket arms able to knock out tanks from 100 to 150 meters. Vehicle leaders need to heighten vigilance in built-up zones." Colonel James Gavin, who led the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, stated, "The bazooka instilled boldness in our ground troops facing foe vehicles. Across Sicily, it took out 17 German tanks. The mental boost outshone the actual damage inflicted." As the push into Italy commenced in September 1943, the bazooka transformed beyond mere anti-armor duties into a go-to fix for diverse challenges. The rugged hills and ancient villages created perfect scenarios for its use. The clash at Ortona in December 1943 showcased its adaptability. Per Canadian Armed Forces documents, bazooka operators pioneered mouse-holing techniques, blasting holes in walls to bypass risky roads. The 1st Canadian Infantry Division's Chronicle noted, U.S. rocket guns shone in close-quarters combat, proving highly effective versus barricaded structures. Production in America surged to 20,000 bazookas per month by January 1944. The M9 version debuted then, with a collapsible frame suited for paratroopers and magneto-based firing that ditched batteries altogether. The M6A3 round, sporting a rounded tip, resisted glancing off sloped plating. Dispatches from the Fifth Army during the Italian front recorded that each foot soldier unit now carried between 24 and 36 bazookas. The launcher had turned into everyday gear on par with automatic rifles. The widespread adoption of bazookas compelled major shifts in German tank strategies. A Wehrmacht instruction bulletin, 4318, released in December 1943, required that armored units avoid city-fighting sans foot soldier escorts. Structures had to be secured prior to any vehicle push forward. A buffer of at least 100 meters from unchecked edifices was essential. Shirts and side skirts remained mandatory on every tank. Crews started affixing spare tracks, burlap sacks filled with dirt, and cement chunks to their rides for extra shielding. The Zimmerit anti-magnetic coating, used from December 1943 through October 1944, served in part as a counter to warheads relying on shaped charges. A seized memo from the 2nd SS Panzer Division, dated March 1944, warned, U.S. Rocket guns appear in all enemy squads. Rapid assault and surprise maneuvers are obsolete. Steady progress backed by foot troops for cover is now mandatory. By the Normandy landings on June 6, 1944, D-Day, the Bazooka formed a core element of U.S. foot soldier setups. Included among the 156 and Allied invaders were numerous teams armed with the cutting-edge M9A1, complete with a sighting optic. Normandy's bocage landscape, riddled with thick hedgerows that formed ready-made strongpoints, suited the weapon perfectly. Logs from the First Army reveal that over the ensuing 6 weeks after D-Day, bazookas caused 12% of German tracked losses in the U.S. zone. The 29th Infantry Division's summary for June and July 1944 highlighted how bazooka crews in the hedgerow maze notched impressive tallies versus hostile tanks. German armor grew hesitant to move ahead without thorough scouting by infantry. Output tallies from Germany exposed the manufacturing pressures driving their countermeasures to the bazooka. Although the Panzerschreck held a technical edge thanks to its 88-meter warhead, which pierced up to 160 meters of armor against the bazooka's mere 100-millimeter capability, it demanded far greater manufacturing effort. Insights from German and U.S. historical records reveal stark production disparities. Each Panzerschreck took 24 to 18 man-hours and 150 Reichsmarks to assemble. The M9 bazooka, by comparison, required 152.4 man-hours, yet only $25 in costs. By August 1944, the United States had churned out more than 400,000 bazookas. Germany, across the full duration of the conflict, assembled just 289,151 Panzerschrecks. This meant American output surpassed German replicas by almost a 2-to-1 margin, even as they crafted lighter, more straightforward firearms. The German Ardennes push in December 1944 offered a brutal trial for the bazooka in frigid weather. Right after the fighting, the 99th Infantry Division's battlefield debriefs captured many bazooka clashes. Technical Sergeant Donald Bracken from the 394th Infantry Regiment described knocking out a Panther tank close to Rockerath on December 17, 1944. The projectile struck the back engine compartment, igniting flames that forced the crew to flee. The distance stood at roughly 75 YD. Harsh cold brought well-noted issues. In lingering M1A1 variants, battery malfunctions forced troops to thaw them against their bodies under coats. Reports from the 2nd Infantry Division noted that rocket fuel ignited oddly below freezing, altering both distance and precision. Even so, logs from the 18th Airborne Corps indicate bazookas took out or crippled 89 German armored units amid the Battle of the Bulge. Among the standout bazooka uses involved Major Charles Carpenter of the 4th Armored Division. His Silver Star Award details, backed by several eyewitness accounts, recount how he affixed 6 M9 bazookas to his L-4 Grasshopper scout plane. Division files confirm his action log. On September 20, 1944, he eliminated 2 Panther tanks by air accord. In October 1944, 1 Panzer IV fell to him. November 1944 saw 3 more armored targets wrecked. Carpenter's plane, still fitted with bazooka racks, surfaced in an Austrian exhibit in 2017 and underwent restoration. Such creativity highlighted the device's adaptability outside standard foot soldier roles. U.S. Army ordnance tallies provide closing figures on bazooka output: 112,790 M1 units, about 60,000 M1A1s, 2687 M9s, roughly 2 C800 M9A1s, and 500 M18 aluminum models, for a grand total of 46,128. Rocket yields broke down as 1942, $1 dollars, 1943, 247,000, 1944, 80 oxy 6,000, 1945, 4 dix 50,000. Overall, 1,530,000. Pricing in $1945 ran $19.90 to 20 for M1 M9 launchers, $885 for M6A3 projectiles. A full kit with launcher and 10 rounds neared $110. In context, German ledgers pegged a Panzer IV at 103,000 Reichsmarks, or about $41, a Panther at 113,000 Reichsmarks, roughly 47,000, and a Tiger I at 250,000 Reichsmarks, around 100,000. In 1945, U.S. Army Ordnance delved deeply into bazooka performance. Key results: typical firing distance of 75 YD, with 85% strike rate at 50 YD, 42% at 100 YD, and 18% at 150 YD. Penetration reached 3.5 to 4 inches, 89 to 102 millimeters using M6A3 rounds. From First Army data in the European campaign, tank kill breakdowns showed 38% by fellow tanks, 31% by anti-tank cannons, 14% from planes, 12% via bazookas, and 5% from mines. These numbers probably lowball the bazooka's true punch, since countless German tanks got ditched at the mere sight of rocket squads rather than fully wrecked. After the war, U.S. Strategic Bombing Survey interviews with captured German leaders uncovered recurring views on the bazooka's role. Though exact paper trails in these reports tend to stay broad, the trends emerge plainly. Field Marshal Albert Kesselring, who led in Italy, remarked during questioning that U.S. rocket guns compelled sweeping shifts in German battlefield strategies. The rapid, stunning maneuvers that secured wins from 1940 to 1941 lost their edge against close-range infantry tank busters. General Heinz Guderian, in his later publications, admitted that widespread handheld anti-tank tools, such as the bazooka, shattered the standalone tank maneuvers at the heart of German planning. Starting in 1943, fears of bazookas shaped German tank evolution. Production notes on armored designs detail skirt additions and side plating on Panzer III types from April 1943 onward. Zimmerit coating rolled out in September 1943. Panthers in the G variant gained beefier flank protection. Engineers also pushed troop assist models with upgraded anti-personnel features. These upgrades burdened German machines with extra mass and intricacy, eroding their speed edge, whereas U.S. tanks stayed basic and dependable. Lend-Lease files track bazooka shipments to partners, 8,000 to the Soviet Union, 12,000 to the United Kingdom. Allied units received significant allocations of the bazooka during World War II. American forces got 485,000 units, while British troops were supplied with 75,000. Free French units obtained 15,000, Chinese nationalist forces 3,000, and other Allied countries 23,628. According to Soviet military records, the Red Army viewed the bazooka as reliable, yet favored their anti-tank rifles initially, and subsequently the RPG-2, which drew inspiration partly from bazooka concepts. Though not as highlighted as in Europe, the bazooka played a crucial role in the Pacific theater. U.S. Marine Corps logs from the Saipan campaign in June-July 1944 record that bazookas knocked out 28 Japanese tanks along with numerous entrenched defenses. Its adaptability shone through diverse rocket variants: the M6A3 for standard anti-tank shaped charge attacks, the M10 with white phosphorus for incendiary and smoke effects, and the M7A3 as a training round. Marines especially appreciated the white phosphorus variants for flushing out cave networks and demolishing Japanese pillboxes. During Iwo Jima, the 5th Marine Division fired off 147 bazooka rounds over 6 weeks of intense combat. The bazooka's enduring utility emerged in the Korean War, where early M9A1 models fell short against T-34-85 tanks, owing to ammunition deterioration. Still, the swift introduction of the M20 Super Bazooka, featuring its 3.5-inch projectiles, highlighted the system's flexibility. In a September 1950 battle report from Busan, Marine Sergeant Robert Bennett noted, "These fresh 3.5-inch bazookas halted T-34s dead on the first try, first hit, first kill, from 125 yards out. The morale boost hit instantly." Such quick evolution, from spotting the issue to rolling out fixes in fewer than 90 days, underscored the straightforward bazooka blueprint's resilience. In essence, the bazooka captured the core of American manufacturing ethos during the war. Reviews of fabrication techniques show its inherent ease. Basic welding setups in any plant sufficed for the tubes, without needing exotic materials or intricate tooling. Each unit took just 2.4 hours of labor to assemble, and workers mastered the process in 2 days. Logistics ran smoothly too. By 1944, every U.S. infantry company carried 5 bazookas, with battalions equipped with 25 to 35. Ammo flowed easily via routine supply routes. This approach stood in stark opposition to German strategies, which prioritized elite engineering at the expense of volume. The Wehrmacht's emphasis on sophisticated, high-end gear hampered output and on-site repairs. U.S. Army training logs capture how the bazooka reshaped foot soldier strategies. Before its arrival in 1941, anti-tank drills relied on rifles useless against heavier armor, plus risky grenade throws, near-suicidal rushes, or improvised firebombs like Molotovs. After 1943 through 1945, however, all infantrymen underwent a 2-hour introductory course on bazooka handling, plus lessons in tank pursuit methods and joint defense setups. Training center summaries captured the mindset shift. The bazooka instilled real assurance in riflemen facing tanks. The old fear of armor gave way to bold pursuit tactics. Frontline after-action summaries detail creative uses by troops. In Italian urban clashes, the 3rd Infantry Division's 2 soldier squads fired from rooftops at tank viewports and turret mechanisms, or hauled the weapon through structures like mouse-holing. In Normandy's bocage from the 29th Infantry Division, teams hid in hedgerows to strike weaker side and rear plating, often in synchronized group strikes. For the 99th Infantry Division's winter operations, soldiers warmed rounds under their clothes, used snow for stealthy advances, and aimed at engine areas to ignite blazes. Army ordnance evaluations on cost efficiency paint a clear picture. Destroying a single German tank with Shermans typically cost 2.5 American tanks, totaling about $180,500 in hardware. Anti-tank guns, factoring in the piece and crew prep, ran around $45,000. Airstrikes with plane losses and bomb loads hit roughly 85,000. Bazookas, by contrast, averaged 5 shots plus rare tube replacements at just 50, yielding a 1,000 to 1 savings that turned the tide economically. For the $75,000 price tag of 1 Sherman, the military could snag 3,000 bazookas and 20,000 rounds. The bazooka's core idea, lightweight soldier-carried anti-armor tools, permeated global tactics. It spawned direct offshoots like the M72 Law, AT-4, Carl Gustaf recoilless gun, and the Soviet RPG lineup, with over 40 countries crafting their own versions or replicas. At its heart, equipping foot soldiers with mobile tank-busting power stays vital to armed forces everywhere. Germany's Munster Tank Museum devotes a fixed exhibit to anti-tank arms, spotlighting the U.S. bazooka. Its label reads, "The U.S. M1 rocket launcher, the bazooka, transformed tank combat. Straightforward, affordable, and potent, it needed only basic instruction for any trooper." Germans seized samples in Tunisia back in 1943, grasped its promise right away, and crafted the Panzerschreck as a counter. By 1945's close, bazookas in every U.S. outfit had evened out German armor dominance. The bazooka's edge in performance stemmed from ongoing refinements drawn from battlefield experiences. The initial M1 model, introduced in June 1942, featured battery-powered ignition and saw 112,190 units manufactured. By June 1943, the M1A1 arrived with a strengthened barrel and better electrical connections, yielding around 60,000 units. The M9, launched in October 1943, adopted a split construction and magneto firing system, resulting in 26,087 produced. Then came the M9A1 in June 1944, which added an enhanced optical sight and superior connector, leading to about 200,800 made. Finally, the M18 in April 1945 used lightweight aluminum, with just 500 built before the conflict concluded. Advancements in rockets kept pace with launcher upgrades, including the M6 with its tapered front for 3 inches of armor penetration, the M6A3 with a rounded tip to avoid ricochets and achieve 4 inches of penetration, the M10 employing a white phosphorus payload, and the M7A3 as a training variant. A detailed 1962 report from the U.S. Army Military History Institute declared that no other device reshaped combat landscapes quite like the M1M9 Bazooka rocket system. It leveled the playing field in anti-armor combat, equipping every foot soldier outfit with the means to neutralize heavy vehicles. The Germans' hurried creation of similar rocket devices in reaction only confirmed its groundbreaking design. When evaluating affordability, battlefield influence, and broader military value, the bazooka stands out as one of World War II's pivotal arms. Insights from German military logs highlight the bazooka's far-reaching consequences. Before its arrival, from 1940 to 1942, enemy tanks roamed freely and boldly. Ground troops scattered at the sight of oncoming armor. Assault and pursuit maneuvers thrived without much resistance. After 1943 through 1945, tanks demanded unwavering escort from foot soldiers. Structures and bushes turned into likely trap spots. Advance pushes grew expensive and sluggish. Wehrmacht journals meticulously recorded this tactical pivot, which thoroughly transformed Europe's war zones. Bazooka manufacturing showcased the height of U.S. manufacturing prowess. At its zenith in March 1945, factories churned out 42,000 launchers and 540,000 projectiles monthly, drawing on 237 suppliers across 34 states. Such a spread-out approach fortified the logistics network. Unlike the centralized German setup prone to airstrikes or disruptions, no isolated attack could seriously disrupt bazooka supplies. Its straightforward design facilitated broad use. Records indicate a typical recruit mastered fundamentals in 2 hours. Field readiness usually followed 5 drill shots. Unlike cumbersome anti-tank rifles, it imposed no unusual fitness demands. Troops from diverse origins wielded it capably. This empowerment shifted every rifle group into a potential tank threat, upending combat flows entirely. A look at rival anti-armor tools underscores the bazooka's strengths. The British Piat tipped the scales at 32 pounds against the bazooka's 15. It reached only 100 yards compared to 300, and it faltered in damp weather due to intricate spring loading that needed brute force. The Soviet PTRD rifle weighed 38 pounds, struggled with medium armor, jolted users harshly to demand robust builds, fired once per load, and hinged on pinpoint accuracy. Germany's Panzerschreck was a throwaway tool with a mere 30 to 60 meter reach, lacking aim aids and posing risks from rear exhaust. Overall, the bazooka delivered the optimal mix of ease of carry, punch, distance, and repeated firing. The weapon's influence reached further than mere frontline use, reshaping unit compositions for nimbler, faster-moving units. Supply lines simplified with basic rocket loads versus bulky cannon setups. Instruction turned ordinary people into armor specialists swiftly. Morale flipped grunts from prey to predators. Financially, it outshone conventional tank busters by a wide margin. Together, these elements handed U.S. troops a clear edge in integrated warfare. Triumph came from straightforwardness, not elaborate tech. Though Germans pursued more advanced gear, the American knack for churning out and deploying solid, adequate tools turned out to be the game-changer. Come the war's close, nearly all U.S. rifle teams carried anti-tank power. Spreading such lethality down to the grunt level captured the essence of American strategy, empowering everyday fighters with potent gear and the skills to deploy it right. The Axis had stormed into the war with the globe's mightiest tank fleets, ruling from Poland to France. Yet they fell in part to young GIs toting cheap metal pipes cheaper than bikes. The bazooka illustrated how, in today's factory-fueled fights, flooding the field with basic reliable arms could trump fancy engineering. It showed ingenuity thrives without frills. Often the top fix is the easiest one scalable to masses. Evolving from Edward Uhl's hasty pipe rigged with wire sights into a Nazi toppler, the bazooka embodied U.S. productive freedom at its peak. Over a mere 3 years, May 1942 to May 1945, plants delivered 46,628 units, and over 15 million rockets were launched, reshaping the essence of infantry battles on the ground. This device exerted a profound influence that was as tangible as it was mental. On the physical side, it empowered foot soldiers to take out armored vehicles from realistic engagement distances. Mentally, it shifted troops from mere targets to proactive predators. The Wehrmacht's tank divisions, pioneers of lightning-fast assaults, suddenly faced delays as bazooka squads lurked in structures, thickets, and debris heaps everywhere. Its triumph stemmed not from cutting-edge design, but from straightforward utility. Production was swift, rollout extensive, and operations straightforward for any recruit after basic instruction. Such ease of making, reliability in action, and sheer volume captured the U.S. strategy in battle, burying foes under sheer output rather than just clever maneuvers. In our era, global armies arm their ground troops with handheld tank busters, all evolving from the bazooka's core idea. The core notion, equipping lone fighters to neutralize heavy machinery, stays vital today, just as it did back when Lieutenant Edward Ohl launched the initial shot from his makeshift rig at Aberdeen Proving Ground in 1942. Beyond mere armament, the bazooka symbolized liberty, forged in metal and blasts. It demonstrated how U.S. laborers in open plants could churn out basic tools in numbers that crushed the finest outputs of Teutonic innovation. It affirmed the U.S. belief in the everyday warrior, handing immense destructive force to common folks. The Axis powers reeled upon learning their prized panzer units could be halted by an unassuming pipe cheaper than a laborer's pay for 7 days. Yet that dismay exposed a core reality of industrialized strife. The country mastering vast-scale creation and broad dissemination outlasts the one excelling in superior but scarce gear. As etched at the old U.S. Army Ordnance Museum, the bazooka evidenced how Yankee cleverness paired with bulk output could best intricacy and artistry. Across Normandy's shores to Italy's peaks, through France's bocage to the Ardennes woods, this unpretentious barrel supplied GIs with the means to defy Nazi steel. Crafted from junk parts and wire from clothing racks, that humble pipe contributed to closing the book on Hitler's empire, blast by blast.